ADR. Promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar and Banjul, 7 p.m. in Lagos. Good evening. Welcome to Newslink, live on West Africa, Democracy Radio 94.9 FM and around the world at wadr.org. First, our top stories. Guinea-Bissau's historic PAIGC party calls for boycott of August 30 constitutional referendum. Senegal's National Assembly ends its extraordinary session after ratifying major draft resolutions, including management of special funds.
These are political funds. Without a framework, without oversight or external control, the president can use them as he wishes.
Gambia participates releases new poll on front runners for December 2026 presidential election. Nigeria's President Tinubu orders 5-year security threat assessment plan amid persistent insecurity.
The essence of this is to look at our national threat to ensure that the security of lives and property for Nigerians is further guaranteed.
Stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Augustine Bill Coley.
We begin in Guinea-Bissau, where the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde is calling for a boycott of the August 30 constitutional referendum. The PAIGC says its decision is driven not only by objections to proposed changes, but would expand presidential powers, but also by its exclusion from the referendum process. The vote has been organized by transitional authorities barely 9 months after the November 2025 coup that toppled the government. Sankula Janko reports.
Just days before Guinea-Bissau's August 30 constitutional referendum, the country's historic independence party, the PAIGC, is calling for a boycott of the vote. The party objects to certain constitutional changes that would significantly give the head of state direct control over government, greater authority to appoint and dismiss the prime minister and ministers, and the power to dissolve parliament. But for the PAIGC, the controversy goes beyond the proposed constitution. Party spokesman Muniru Conte says the opposition was excluded from the process from the onset, with the referendum prepared without the participation of major political parties, including the PAIGC, the PAI Terra Ranka, and API Kabas Garandi. Conte also alleges that the process has been tilted in favor of the authorities, claiming that polling station representatives would be drawn from groups close to the regime, while mechanisms for challenging electoral irregularities have been weakened. He says taking part would therefore be pointless, arguing that the opposition has already been shut out of the process and would have little chance of successfully challenging the outcome. The August 30 referendum is also being held amid restrictions on political activity. Party headquarters closed after the November 2025 coup have yet to reopen, limiting the opposition's ability to campaign and mobilize supporters ahead of the vote.
Sankula Janko with those details. In Senegal, the National Assembly has closed its extraordinary session after considering and voting on several bills and legislative proposals. While lawmakers adopted a number of texts, 2 key measures aimed at strengthening transparency and good governance remain pending. More details with Christopher Aticho.
Yesterday, Thursday, Parliament closed its extraordinary session after several weeks of examining and voting on legislation. 5 texts were on the agenda. 3 government bills were adopted and are now awaiting promulgation. They concern reforms to the Social Security Code, the Labor Code, and a law on digital security. 2 bills proposed by lawmakers from the ruling majority remain pending. The first, on asset declarations when taking and leaving public office, was overwhelmingly approved. While the government has expressed support for the bill, it has also announced that it will submit to a referendum. The second bill, proposed by majority lawmakers and left pending, concerns oversight of secret funds at the disposal of the presidency to finance sensitive state expenditures. While the majority majority in Parliament, Pastef Party considers the measure important for transparency in governance. The government has referred the matter to the Constitutional Council. It argues that secret funds fall under regulatory authority and are therefore the responsibility of the executive. Mamadou Sey Albert is a Senegalese political analyst.
These are political funds. Without a framework, without oversight or external control, the president can use them as he wishes. Clearly, the Constitutional Council will not contradict itself. The council has already ruled on the issue of a blocked vote. Either all the amendments proposed by the President of the Republic are incorporated, or they are not.
The Constitutional Council has until August 26 to rule on the bill, seeking to regulate the use of secret funds.
Christopher Aticho with that report. In the neighboring Gambia, the political race is entering a more decisive phase less than 4 months before the presidential election. Gambia Participates has now launched the second round of its public opinion poll, seeking to capture the mood of voters as alliances shift and candidates position themselves for the December 5 election. WADR's Banjul correspondent Rose Samarakates reports.
The polls are expected to provide a fresh look at voters' preference, key national concerns, and how Gambians are assessing the candidates ahead of the December 2026 presidential election. It comes at a time when the country's political landscape is changing rapidly, with new coalitions emerging and opposition parties working to consolidate their support. The Gambia Participates' previous presidential polls highlighted a significant undecided electorate. Alongside support from several leading political figures, the organization says the latest exercise will offer an updated picture as the election draws closer. But with the political landscape changing almost by the week, the question is whether voters are also changing their minds. We hear from Gambia Participates on what this second round of polling is designed to capture.
The aim for the opinion poll is basically to provide evidence-based into voter sentiment. Whatever the voters are thinking, we are trying to find some data evidence to that. We also plan to offer some indicator on the political mood around this time, which could help all the stakeholders in the election exercise, namely the political parties, the candidate, the media, the general public, so that everybody can be informed when they engage into political dialogue. We also aim at tracking the preference of voters.
The polls also come amid growing efforts by civil society groups to encourage informed and peaceful participation ahead of the December election. Other civil initiatives have been targeting young voters and communities, stressing the importance of participating in the electoral process. With the campaign period approaching, the second Gambia Participate poll is likely to add fresh data to an increasingly competitive political environment, while the ultimate verdict remains with Gambian voters on December 5th. For WADR, Rose Samarakates, Banjul.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Now let's take you to Ghana, where the Supreme Court has dismissed Ofuase Ayirbi MP Kojo upon Nkrumah's bid to the Court selected criminal trials during the annual legal vacation. The legal vacation runs from August 1 to September 30, when courts traditionally scale down proceedings, although certain matters may still be heard under arrangements authorized by the Chief Justice. Upon Nkrumah had sought an injunction to stop criminal trials from proceeding during the period. Following the ruling, the MP says he may seek a review, arguing that the judgment raises important questions about how cases are handled during the legal vacation. From Accra, Elikplim Awuku reports.
Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni issued administrative warrants allowing selected High Court judges to continue hearing criminal trials during the vacation. That decision triggered opposition from parts of the legal profession and subsequently a constitutional challenge by opposition MP Kojo Opon Nkrumah, who argued that prioritizing selected criminal cases amounted to unequal treatment and raised concerns under Article 17 of the Constitution.
For the first time, the courts have admitted that some cases are being treated differently. Those are the words of the judge, and expeditiously. But then he proceeds to say that, in his opinion, that will not amount to a violation of the constitutional articles that we have raised in this particular matter.
But Justice Gabriel Poamang, sitting as a single judge of the Supreme Court, dismissed the MP's interlocutory injunction, holding that he had failed to establish a sufficiently strong case to justify stopping the trials. The court also found no evidence that the Chief Justice had directed that the law be applied differently to persons appearing before the courts. Mr. Opong Nkrumah is now considering a review of the decision. His lawyer, Frank Davis, says the ruling has implications for the broader legal challenge.
We have applied for a certified true copy of the ruling. We shall read in detail and appropriately advise our client.
But lawyer and UPSA lecturer Justice Abdullahi says the outcome was expected, stating that the MP's argument ultimately lacked merit.
That whole application is so self-contradicting. The whole basis for the application was targeted at particular cases. The CJ issues a warrant for a court to sit, and you want to challenge that. You are saying, in effect, that the Constitution itself is unconstitutional.
The dismissal means the selected criminal trials can continue during the current legal vacation, while the substantive constitutional challenge remains before the Supreme Court. For WADR, Elik Limauku.
In
Accra.
Guinea, Agassimou Jallow, a key prosecutor in the trial over the 2009 September 28 massacre, has been dismissed from the judiciary following disciplinary proceedings. The Supreme Court Advocate General was suspended earlier this week, with authorities citing breaches of his statutory obligations. The High Court of the Judiciary has now upheld its dismissal, although the specific misconduct has not been publicly detailed. Imo Edit reports.
Agassimou Jallow's dismissal comes just 2 days after Justice Minister Ibrahima Sori Tunkara suspended him and referred his case to the High Council of the Judiciary. Meeting in a closed disciplinary session, the council found the allegations against Jallow established, describing them as serious breaches of the duties, honor and dignity of his office. However, the council did not publicly specify the conduct that led to his dismissal. Jallow is best known for his role as prosecutor in the trial of the September 28, 2009 massacre, where he led the prosecution of former junta leader Musa Dadis Camara and other senior officials. He was appointed Advocate General at the Supreme Court after serving as prosecutor at the Dixon Court and later heading the Public Prosecutor's Office at the Kankan Court of Appeal. Justice Minister Tunkara has since said that audio exchanges between Jallow and opposition leader Selu Jalin Jallow were among the issues being considered in the disciplinary case, which authorities viewed as incompatible with his professional obligations. A travel ban has also reportedly been imposed on the former magistrate. The dismissal now brings an end to Jallow's career as a magistrate, while the authorities have ordered the publication of the disciplinary decision.
Imo Edit. With that report, we cross over to Burkina Faso, where the authorities on Thursday received the UN Special Envoy, Sali Work Zidi, who is on a working visit to the country. She was received in Ouagadougou by Burkina Faso's Foreign Minister, Karamoko Jean-Marie Traoré. The former Ethiopian president is leading an evaluation mission of the United Nations Regional Office for Western Central Africa, known as UNOWAS. Abdullahi Hassan tells us more.
The mission seeks to gather the view of Burkinabe authorities on UN interventions in the country and assess how UNOWAS can better adapt its work to the realities of West Africa and the Sahel. Sali Work Zedi says the findings of assessment will help inform future decisions by the UN Security Council and improve cooperation with Burkina Faso. Burkinabe Foreign Minister Karamako Jean-Marie Traoré welcomes the initiative but called for deeper reforms within the United Nations. He urges UNOWAS to become a stronger instrument of proximity and preventive diplomacy with greater attention to information and assessments coming from actors on the ground. The minister also explains Burkina Faso's position on the security situation in the Sahel and the Alliance of Sahel States, AES. He argues that the priority of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger is currently security and the protection of their populations rather than organizing elections. Traoré further calls on international organizations to recognize what he described as progress achieved by the AES countries and to better understand their sovereign choices. The Burkinabe Foreign Minister wants the United Nations to adapt its approach to the new realities of the region through greater listening, consultation, and dialogue. The visit is part of a broader UN effort to assess its regional engagement and strengthen cooperation with countries across West Africa and the Sahel.
Abdullahi Hassan reporting there. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Here is a reminder of our top stars. Guinea-Bissau's historic PAIGC party calls for boycott of August 30 constitutional referendum. Senegal's National Assembly ends its extraordinary session after ratifying major draft resolutions, including management of special funds. Gambia participates releases new polls on front runners for December 26, that's 2026 presidential election. Still ahead in the news, Nigeria's President Tinubu orders 5-year security threat assessment plan amid persistent insecurity. We also have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Connecting Ghana to West Africa. This is Nadidi Tete in Accra, and you're listening to WADR 94.9 FM, Dakar.
Thank you for staying with us. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR News and on Facebook, WADR English Service. In Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has ordered the immediate preparation of a comprehensive national threat assessment and a rolling 5-year strategic defense operations plan. The directive aims to strengthen coordination among Nigeria's defense, intelligence, and security agencies while ensuring that resources and operational capabilities are aligned with the country's most pressing security challenges. Here's Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris Malgi, addressing the media.
It will have membership as follows: the Office of the National Security Advisor, the ministers, the 2 ministers of defense, the Chief of Defense Staff and all the service chiefs, the Director General of the DSS, the Director General of the NIA, and of course the Special Advisor to the President on Homeland Security, who will provide the Secretariat for this. Our Council has approved that from today they will have 90 days to submit their report to Mr. President. Of course, the essence of this is to look at our overall national threat assessment. We'll also look at the principal framework for the establishment of military and defense cooperation for Nigeria. Now, this is all part of the robust plan that Mr. President has to ensure that the security of lives and property for Nigerians is further guaranteed. This is coming, as you all know, on the heels of some of the successes that our military and security agencies are having over criminal elements, bandits, and terrorists that have been operating in different parts of the country.
Mohammed Idris Malagi is Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation. Still in Nigeria, at least 50 people, mostly children, have died after an overloaded boat capsized in the northwestern Sokoto state. The incident occurred near Gura in Goronyo local government area, where rescue efforts are still underway. Witnesses say more than 70 people may have been on board, including farmers and laborers heading to rice fields. Meanwhile, Liberia has received the first group of people deported from the United States under a controversial third country deportation deal. The first flight carrying 20 people landed in Monrovia on Thursday after departing Louisiana and stopping in Dakar, Senegal. Information Minister Juralumic Pia says most of the deportees are from Latin America, including Venezuela, Cuba, and Colombia. Recall, Monrovia has agreed to accept up to 1,200 third country deportees over the next 12 months, one of the largest such U.S. agreements in Africa. The Liberian government says the deportees will be received as guests with the freedom to leave and the option to seek asylum in Liberia.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, we take you back to Nigeria, where President Tinubu has ordered the preparation of a national threat assessment and a 5-year strategic defense operation plan. The 11-member committee has 90 days to complete the task. To understand what this means for Nigeria's security response, we spoke with Dr. Majo Peters, a security analyst in Nigeria.
There is no nation on earth that does not every time review processes, structures, and plans around safety, security, and protection of sovereignty. And at every time, if you think there is a gap or there is something that needs to improve, there is a need for you to rework your plan and see what you can do better. So I give the benefit of doubt that obviously the security strategy that has been on ground and all the work that has been put forth around counterterrorism, protection of sovereignty, protection of lives and property, keeping people safe and secured, and the rest of them has not met the expected goal that it was set to achieve. The threat indices and the security indices shows that the insecurity is still high and people still feel very unsafe. So I think it is just a good thing and it is acceptable for our leadership to say we want to make things better.
What are the most pressing security threats the assessment should prioritize, and are Nigeria's security agencies currently equipped to address them?
Yeah, I think right now we still realize that people still feel very unsafe to travel, especially if you're traveling by road. Within the hinterland, a lot of communities, especially hard-to-reach communities, are feeling very threatened. And the issue of abductions, kidnapping for ransom, and all of that, banditry, general criminality, is still very persistent.
How important is better coordination among the defense, intelligence, and security agencies? And could this plan help address existing gaps or duplications?
It's very important for us to have a very strong platform for coordination. Every security agency is supposed to work primarily to increase and beef up safety for citizens and people who live within. And if coordination becomes an issue, then we're going to have duplication, people doing the same thing at the same time with the same people. And of course, leaving some things undone and getting nothing. So I'm sure now there is going to be a framework that ensures that every security agency's work supports each other and lead to the greater safety of the nation.
With the assessment due in 90 days and a 5-year defense plan to follow, what should Nigerians look for to determine whether this will lead to real improvements in national security?
The answer is very simple. A rapid drop in kidnappings and abductions, massive arrests and prosecution of culprits and people who are involved in that. We want to see people going back to the farms and people being able to travel very freely. And this is what you can always get to hear happen within the framework of 6 months.
Dr. Majo Peters is a security analyst in Nigeria. Now in sports, we begin in Senegal, where the football election dispute has taken a new turn. The Court of Arbitration for Sport has sent Madi Touré's challenge against the election of Senegalese Football Federation President Abdoulaye Fall back to the Federation's Appeals Commission. The case says the Commission wrongfully dismissed Touré's complaint as inadmissible and must now examine his allegations on their merits. Elsewhere, Guinea is bidding to host the Africa Cup of Nations in either 2032 or 2036. Prime Minister Baoure announced today the country's bid to return to the race for Africa's biggest football tournament after losing the right to host it, the 2025 edition. Guinea joins Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, which are jointly bidding under the Alliance of Sahel States. Meanwhile, FIFA has handed down heavy sanctions against several Argentinians following incidents after Spain's World Cup final victory. Leandro Paredes has been suspended for 10 matches and fined $90,000, while Nahul Molina has received a 7-match ban and the same fine. 3 members of Lionel Scolani's coaching staff have each been suspended for 1 match and fined $30,000. The Adjutant Football Association has also been fined $310,000 over several violations, including alleged discriminatory or racist incidents and public disorder. Those are the latest sports news. With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening. Many thanks to Ismail Akamara and Maudo Ju for the technical support. To interact with us via our social media platforms, including X, Instagram, and Facebook at WADR English. Coming up is a repeat of WADR's opinion series, It's You Speaking. Country of focus is Liberia. I am Augustine Curley. Good evening.
We thank you for listening to Newslink in Nigeria on Love FM Abuja and Darling FM Owerri. In the Gambia on Hot FM Banjul, Hilltop FM and Veritas Radio in Serekunda. Thank you for listening on Alternative Youth Radio Lofa County, Liberia, Radio Kegaman in Nimba County, and DCN Radio Riverside County. A big thank you to Radio Baft FM in Sierra Leone for listening, and in Ghana we thank Radio Pad in Damango and Royals FM in Wenchi. Thank you all for listening to Newslink.